Good evening, good evening. This is Spirit Journey, and I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Today is Friday, June 5, 2020, and the time is now 6:48 p.m. I would like to share with you several videos that I found on the internet today on YouTube. And what led me to do this video is this young woman that I will be showing you. And it was quite a surprise because the first video that I saw with her, they do not indicate her background, who she is. And I had checked out through another video who this person is. And it turned out that the woman that I'm going to show you is the granddaughter of the famous singer Bob Marley from Jamaica. Yep. And I thought it was really, really something. And so this video, well, I'm going to be showing you a series of things here on the screen. And in short, well, so I want to be careful. I don't want to over generalize, but all these racial incidences that is happening in the United States, the killing of Mr. Floyd, they did a memorial of him yesterday, and all the other victims of police brutality or to be lied upon by white women upon black men and calling 911 and using race as a means of that the cops have to come because of what your race is, and it's escalating a lot of things here. And my goal in this video really is to expose some of the mindsets of some of these white women. Now, not all white women are like this, of the women that I'm going to show you. You have decent white women out there. You have decent people in all communities, but I want to address again the archetype of the white woman, and that I think the way that she may be teaching her family, her children specifically, is what in part might be influencing when the children of the white woman, when they become adults, their attitude towards black people. And so I'll be showing some of these videos, and I will be also talk about what has to be done towards the end of the video, what has to be done as it pertains to the what should be done to try to minimize the harm that is put upon black people. Okay, so here I go. I'm going to play this video. Okay. Oh, also, okay, none of these videos are mine. These are videos that I found on the internet, and this one is uploaded by Teach Them. Okay, and it's a relatively old video, and a lot of the videos are from the same year, coincidentally. Okay, this is from May 6, 2018. And what the videos I will be showing is for educational purposes. Some of them will be from the news. So all these videos that I will show is for education and commentary. Okay, because some of these may be copyrighted. Okay, so I want to say that to the upfront. Okay, so here I go. Oh, and this happened in California, in the United States of America.
By U.S. police. California police officers earlier this week detained Jamaican actress and filmmaker Donisha Prendergast, the granddaughter of reggae legend Bob Marley, and 3 of her friends as they were leaving an Airbnb home to prepare for a socially conscious event they organized. Teach them! Always make sure the message will reach them! A neighbor reportedly called the police on the group of friends, 3 of whom were said to be black, while witnessing them depart the premises with their luggage. There are 4 police officers here, said 33-year-old Prendergast in a live video post in which she spoke to the apparent owner of the home via phone call in front of the officers.
Sir, they want to speak to someone.
Hey Marie, so we're standing out here with the Rialto police who were called by a neighbor. They don't believe that we went. Well, can you explain who you are before I preface?
This is Officer Bashir with the Rialto Police Department, ma'am.
Just spoke to someone from Rialto PD that verified that I was the homeowner. Are you a different police officer?
I'm here on scene with that officer.
They don't believe. They think that you're just a stranger I'm calling to verify the story.
It's only been about 10 minutes.
Well, no, I just called you, but someone from the police department just called me from a number 909-835-9999.
Yeah, Marie. So yeah, we're standing here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 police officers here. Yeah, they responded pretty quickly. We watched your neighbor call.
The police officers demanded that the owner appear in person to verify the identity of Prendergast, who apparently was the one who booked the accommodation. An officer told Prendergast that she was being detained along the street in order for the officers to investigate and to cover all our bases.
Alright, ma'am, we're still in the process of investigating just to make sure we cover all our bases.
You guys are investigating.
Okay.
I have a lot of shit to do today. I have an event that we're doing.
An actress, filmmaker, and advocate, Prendergast said she was in California to put on an event ironically titled "We Will Rise Together."
We Will Rise Together is happening in LA tonight. Gates open at 8.
Okay, so this woman, her name is Donisha Prendergast, and she is the granddaughter of Bob Marley, and she had rented this home in California, and she was with at least 2 other people, 3 other people, 2 blacks and I think 1 Caucasian. Okay, and this is her and her friend. Well, in this video now that I'm going to show you, is she's with another person who was there at the time. And so I'm going to show you this video. Again, this video is by CNN, and is the date that this was aired was May 12, 2018. So I'm going to play this video now.
Videos of people of color dealing with calls to police for ordinary non-criminal things every day. In the past few days, stories surfaced about Native American students attending a college tour reported by a suspicious parent, a black grad student who fell asleep in a common area in her dorm reported by a white fellow grad student, and a group of friends who were detained by police while they were checking out of their Airbnb rental reported by a white neighbor of the homeowner. And the Airbnb guests and their lawyer are calling on Rialto police to hold the caller accountable. Joining me now to discuss, filmmaker Kelly Fife Marshall, activist and filmmaker Donisha Prendergast, and artist Komi Olafemihan, and their attorney Jasmine Rain. Good to have all of you with us this morning. Thank you.
Great to be here with this morning.
So, Donisha, first let's start here. This was last Monday, April 30th. You were checking out of this Airbnb, and it seemed, pretty normal, packing things up. And then what happened?
Wow. And then out of nowhere, police cars swooped down on us from in front of us and behind us. It was kind of surreal.
And And you didn't know that anything was out of the ordinary until the police car showed up?
No, we can't say anything was out of the ordinary. When I came out, we were packing our vehicle, and Kelly indicated to me, she said, you know, look over that lady over there. And the lady was standing on her front lawn, looking over at us with her hand akimbo and her hand to her phone. And she said, you know, she's probably going to call the police. And I kind of just scoffed at it and went back inside because why would she? You know, and so said, so done. The reality is we were black people in a white neighborhood, and that was enough to call the police.
When you say that she was probably going to call the police and you asked why, we do have actually sound released by the Rialto Police Department. An officer went to her and she said that she was scared, and here's the explanation from her why she was scared. Let's listen.
Well, I walked out here and, you know, just to check the mail, and I see these strange people coming and going back and forth, you know, with luggage, and I didn't recognize them.
What made you think they were strange?
Because they had luggage in their hand and they weren't really looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they just kind of avoided me, or they didn't wave, you know, like neighbors. And I noticed the couple that were in there that owned the house, and I didn't recognize them.
Now that might have been a little difficult to hear, Comey. I assume you've heard it before. When the police released it, you said that they didn't wave, you know, like neighbors. What's your reaction to that from that homeowner?
Well, before Comey starts, I want to make something very clear that
Go ahead, Jasmine.
you know this is only a part of the video footage that has been released. We look forward to receiving the full 911 tapes, which we have not received yet, that we requested over a week ago from the Rialto Police Department. The other thing that I want to make very clear is that the police officers arrived on the scene and actually informed them that this neighbor called and reported that there were 3 black people stealing stuff. Now, if that's not what this woman said, then that's a real disconnect. It's actually a lie on behalf of the Rialto Police Department, and that goes more to the mindset of those officers.
Yeah, that's also included in the recordings. You can hear the officer explaining to the 3 here. And Comey, your reaction to what you hear from this neighbor?
I don't know how to react to that. She said we look strange, and I don't know what about us was strange. If I was in my neighborhood and I saw someone coming out of a house with luggage, I would not automatically suspect that they were stealing. So that is my response to that. That is the first time I'm actually hearing that. But yeah.
Kelly, you said, and I'm going to read this here because I want to quote you accurately. At first we joked about the misunderstanding and took photos and videos along the way. About 20 minutes into this misunderstanding, it escalated almost instantly. What escalated, and tell me about that switchover?
So before, it felt like we felt like we were going to be able to go, but the sergeant came. And so once the sergeant came, the mood and the energy changed completely. He didn't believe anything we were saying. He didn't believe the Airbnb app that we'd shown. He didn't believe the landlord that we had called and the picture we were shown. They called the landlord and got a DMV picture, and they showed it to us, and we all agreed, yeah, that's her. And the sergeant said, but of course they would say that. And so at that point, it just felt like everything was against us.
Jasmine, I read that you said that this woman who made this call to police needs to be held accountable. What does that look like? What does that mean?
Well, there's under California statute, there is a mechanism where if somebody places a false call to the police or makes false allegations that leads to this type of criminal investigation and detainment and a violation of constitutional rights, they can certainly do an investigation into this woman and hold her accountable. Now, it's not reasonable to see 4 people and one of them is right, but you only perceive 3 of those people to be suspicious, and those people all have black skin. You know, to me, the same thing that made them suspicious to this neighbor is the same thing that made Trayvon Martin suspicious to George Zimmerman. And that's wrong, and that can't continue to happen in our nation.
Now, what's your response to those online? Because this is, as you know, blowing up on social media, who say that this woman saw someone across the street at a house where she knew the owners, she knew the couple that lived there, did not recognize the people coming out, and she, even if it's based on some prejudice or some belief about black people, she knowingly did not call about black people specifically. She was calling about, I don't know these people coming out and they're not speaking to me.
Well, first of all, if I can answer that question,
Go ahead.
Jasmine, I think I would have hoped that she would have called her neighbor first. Why didn't she just call the neighbor before she called the police? Why was her first intention to call the police? What did she want to happen? And why was the protocol to respond in the manner that they did? Is that something standard? And if it is, then that concerns us, because how much money was spent within those few moments?
Yeah.
How much time was spent when they could have been doing something better, actually serving and protecting the community? I didn't feel served or protected in those moments.
Jasmine.
And why didn't she wave to them? That's a great question that nobody has asked. Why didn't you wave to them first and see if they waved back? Why do you expect black people to wave at you at your behest so that you feel secure? Her position is completely unreasonable. And to the people out there on social media, I refuse to have them ask my clients to apologize, because it is a blessing that they're alive today to speak about this, and they have a responsibility to protect other people's rights. Every single one of my clients is an activist in their own right. And what we're doing right now is attempting to protect other black people who may come into that neighborhood and that area from these same police officers and from that same racist mentality. So they will not apologize to anybody for being alive. They will not apologize for not being another Michael Brown, for not being another Trayvon Martin, for being here to tell their story and to tell it in their own voice.
I've only got 2 minutes left, and Comey, let me come to you.
Okay. Yeah, what the point with this, I mean, it's so problematic. These people were minding their own business. And again, there were 3 blacks and 1 white, but she only has problem with the 3 blacks as she specifies. And she is a type of white woman that I want to really discuss in this video. She's very problematic, this white woman. And again, she's not on camera, the white woman who called. But why is that? Why is that they have to wave at her? If she's the one that has the problem or the curiosity, she should have just walked over. Hey, how you doing, neighbor? I'm just live across the street. Just want to say hello. I haven't seen you here before. That would have been up front. But she doesn't. And if she was concerned about that neighbor's place being robbed, she should have called the neighbor, right? But I gather that she doesn't feel she's being catered to. So that's a key thing here that I want to portray in this video. That it's an expectancy that black people have to accommodate white people. And if it's not fulfilled, that she will retaliate. She is a viper, okay? So it's very problematic. And they seem like really nice people, the 3 black people there. And just, I was really surprised that the woman on the bottom left is Bob Marley's granddaughter. So that's what really, wow. I mean, every individual, whether you're the relative of a celebrity or not, I don't want to focus on that, but that's what really caught my attention after I saw that clip. And then I wanted to see other videos because I didn't know what her name was. And so, because there was another video and I didn't see her name. And so I was looking on the internet with the name that was associated with this incident. And that led me to get the woman's name. And again, her name is Donisha Pendergast. Okay. So that is my introductory, why I'm starting this video, by my seeing the video on this incident where just 4 people were at an Airbnb. The neighbor didn't like that she could identify them and they didn't wave, and so she put suspicion on them by they called the cops and put a suspicion on them, implying that they're stealing. Okay, in short. Okay, so let me show you. I want to show you another video here. Okay. Now I'm going to talk to you about what the type of woman that reminds me of what happened with the Airbnb. And this is the archetype of a woman that I'm going to discuss. And her name is Amy Cooper. Okay? And so I want to show you this video.
Please don't come close to me.
Sir, I'm asking you to stop recording.
Please don't come close to me.
Please take your phone off.
Please don't come close to
And
me.
I'm taking pictures calling the cops.
Please call the cops. Please call the cops.
I'm going to tell them there's an African American man threatening my life.
She's choking that poor dog. I can't stand her personally. And this is done by the Los Angeles Times.
I'm sorry, I'm in a ramble, and there is a man, African American, he has a bicycle helmet. He is recording me and threatening me and my dog. There is an African American man, I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog.
Can't stand her hurting that dog. See, the dog is gasping. Can't stand her. Okay, so there's an expectancy again. She didn't want to be videotaped. But the man was just asking for her to put the leash on the dog and showed her the sign that the area requires a dog to be on the leash. And so because it was interfering with her sense of entitlement to do what she wants, she then attacked him verbally. You saw how she put her finger in his face. She's very aggressive. Okay, that's another component that you see in this, aggression. And it's very explosive and could be unpredictable at times. Okay. Now this video I found is more on the lighter side of things, and this video is by Lauren Reedus. Okay, and this one is relatively new. This was uploaded April 13, 2020. And it's entitled The Difference Between a Karen and a Becky. Readers 101. Now, the term Karen is new to me. And I just heard the term as it pertains to the video I just showed you by Amy Cooper, the woman with the dog at the park, and she says that an African American man is threatening her, which was a lie. Okay, so that was the first time I heard the term Karen, and so I looked on the internet to try to find out, well, what does the term Karen and a Becky? I've heard of the term Becky before, so when I saw this, I said this would be an educational thing to find out these new terms, these new slang terms referring to usually white women. And it's again an archetype type of woman. Okay, so I will play this video.
Oh, sorry, didn't see you there. Hi, my name is Laurent Reedus, and I want to teach you the difference between a Karen and a Becky. With major areas of the world currently under lockdown, a lot of people have recently come to the realization that they have a lot of time on their hands. And depending on what you do, your current level of creativity, or your current level of boredom, some things individuals choose to do range from self-care, personal amusement, and borderlining stupidity. Just like British writer Julie Bindel did when she took to Twitter declaring the names Karen and Becky as racial slurs toward white women, some even comparing it to the use of the N-word, which, as a result, immediately set us feminists back by at least 10 years. Now, you might have been one of those individuals who saw this set of tweets, which are still up on her Twitter account as of the recording of this video, bless her heart. And you either thought to yourself one or all of the following. 1. How could she put those two in the same category? 2. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Or 3. Oh, I see white people are white peopling again. In which case, all of those feelings are accurate. Because all of them are true. So in order for us to reach an understanding of why this is an extremely bad take, we must first go over why the names Karen and Becky are used in these regards in the first place. Karen is the most well-known and also the most coincidental, yet ironic in its current depiction since its conception. And this is because the name Karen is Danish in origin, meaning pure, after branching from the English name Catherine. We see these women, who are mostly white, display that purity with a holier-than-thou attitude inside shops or restaurants when they're trying to get their way, rubbing their privilege in the faces of shop and food workers that are less fortunate than they are. Thus, when it gets to the point where even the slightest challenge to their purity is made by said individuals, as an attempt to get the workers reprimanded for their actions, or to make sure their purity is given the respect they believe it deserves, they release their battle cry and intimidation, "I would like to speak with your manager." That is how the roots of the name ironically link with the behavior we currently see in those we associate with the name Karen. The reason why it's coincidental, on the other hand, is because more than likely such an association was not done on purpose. Like the haircut we associate with the name turned term, the actions of individuals began to grow and evolve to the point where the name Karen just felt right. Of course, it should go without saying that it is entirely untrue that every white woman named Karen behaves in the way according to the stigma currently associated with it. I know plenty of white Karens that treat people the way they want to be treated and do not act as if they are above anyone else. Which is why it constantly pains me that their parents decided to name them Karen. Becky, on the other hand, tends to be the more malevolent of the two. Whereas Karens tend to run on mostly privilege, Becky's utilize a mixture of privilege, prejudice, and systematic racism. Becky's tend to notice the lives of minorities either trying to live, succeed, or have fun, all within the boundaries of the law, yet are compelled to involve the display of systematic racism upon these individuals, mostly because she doesn't want them there, by reporting their activities to the police and using their privilege as a white woman as leverage. Even more so when it's proven she was wrongfully accusing said minorities by immediately shifting the use of her privilege to argue that she was the true victim. The use of the name turned term is largely thanks to the white woman nicknamed Barbecue Becky, who called the police on a gathering of African Americans having a cookout in a public park, stating that it was illegal to barbecue in the park with charcoal. Other instances in the term Becky can be seen in the white woman calling the police on a black girl selling water outside her home because she didn't have a permit, and a white woman calling the police on a black man moving into his apartment thinking that he was breaking into it. Both Karen and Becky are current terminologies associated with white women that respectively bring attention to the displays of both unbridled ego and privilege and racial domination over minorities. So what should you do or say if your name is actually Karen or Becky, but do not display any of the traits associated with the term that they now carry? Nothing. Continue to live your life, because despite it being your name, you are not who the individuals are talking about. The only prejudice associated with utilizing these names in the way that they are currently used is that it brings unwanted attention to individuals who continue to exuberate the negative qualities that the names turned terms heavily critiques. As a matter of fact, the only ones actually complaining about how the names are treated and stating that they're slurs are individuals who have never experienced the dangers of systematic racism, have never experienced what it's like to have someone speak down on them or think lesser of them because of their hierarchy or privilege, and or are seeking any and every reason under the sun to claim that they are being oppressed. Which, in retrospective, is a very Becky thing to do. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to watch this PSA, and I hope you now have a better understanding of deciphering a Karen from a Becky. But if you still believe that the current use of Karen and Becky are the equivalent of the N-word, just remember, you don't say the K-word or the B-word in front of other people. You say Karen and Becky. Now do it with the other one. I thought so.
Okay. So that was an explanation done in what's trying to be a humorous way to expose the different archetypes, the archetype of a Karen and the archetype of a Becky. Okay. Now this next video this is done by a doctor. His name is Dr. Todd Grand, and I'm just gonna. It's entitled Central Park Karen, Amy Cooper. What is the personality profile of a Karen? Okay, so I want to start from this portion of the video. So he discusses the mindset of a Karen type person, aka Amy Cooper. Okay, here I go.
So now moving to the personality profile of a Karen. Again, in general, not specific to Amy Cooper. So this type of behavior is antisocial and narcissistic, and we have quite a bit of research on this so that we can align these constructs with a personality profile. When I conceptualize personality, I use the 5-factor model. I remember the 5 factors through the acronym OCEAN: openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. So starting with openness to experience, here we would expect openness to be slightly lower than average, but this doesn't have a strong association with antisocial behavior or narcissistic behavior. Moving to conscientiousness, we would expect a Karen to be low in all facets, especially competence, dutifulness, deliberation, and self-discipline. Moving to extroversion, this trait would be split. We would see low levels of warmth, but high levels of excitement seeking. Now, moving to agreeableness, we see this has the strongest relationship with antisocial and narcissistic behavior. We would expect a Karen to be low on all facets, so that would be trust, straightforwardness, altruism, compliance, modesty, and tender-mindedness. That leaves us with neuroticism. Here we would expect a Karen to be high on all of the facets, especially angry hostility, impulsiveness, and depression. So when we look at all these facets across these traits, it becomes clear this does seem to align fairly well with typical Karen personality. The low agreeableness combines with the low conscientiousness, so the agreeableness has a better opportunity to express as impulsivity. The excitement seeking drives somebody to take chances as well, and the neuroticism makes somebody emotionally reactive. So it's actually a fairly bad combination in terms of staying out of trouble and keeping others safe. I know whenever I talk about controversial issues, there will be a variety of opinions. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comments section. They always generate an interesting dialogue.
Okay, so that's more of a scientific approach to describe people who act like this Amy Cooper. Okay, I'm going to go to the next video. Okay, I showed that already. Okay, did that one. Okay, here's a video. This one was done in February 26, 2019. NBC News uploaded this. And this is, again, it's going to depict a white woman. And what happened in this instance? Oh, It's entitled "Watch: White Woman Confronts Mixed Race Couple During Baby Photo Shoot" by NBC. Okay.
Here's the bug. Excuse me, you're invading my private. Look. All right, good, got it. Silence crime. Here because I'm there. What's going on social media? Go ahead. You want to slide for the camera? Let's slide. Pull out your phone. You want to record me? I'm recording you. Pull out your phone. Pull out your phone. Pull out your phone. Record me. Shame on you. Record me. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Now why don't you go tell them that?
Shame.
Go ahead and tell them that. Go ahead and tell them that.
On you. You brought your dog here to bite my child. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Did you just say I brought? Yes, you did. Your dog came around my child. You did not even come to take the dog away from my child. Ma'am, you know that's a lie. She just said I brought my dog to bite. No, she's crazy. She is crazy.
You're crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
See? Good. You just hit me, right? You just hit me, right? You just hit me.
And I have that on camera too. Thank you. God. Yeah, bye. Crazy. Shame on you. Here's my biting dog. Shame on you. Go. You want to bite your dog? Go. Go. Go inside your house. Your child. Go inside your house. You want to come to talk to me? You want to come and talk to me? Pull out your phone. You want to record me? You put your dog right now, child. Let me tell you something. Are you a mother? Are you a mother? Yes, you have children? Alright. Well, then you need to have some respect for my child. You brought a dog. I don't know her. Of my child. You think you brought this? I don't care. I don't know your dog.
Don't do the innocent thing.
I don't know your dog.
Here's
the dog. Here's the big biter. Here's the bug.
Excuse me, you're invading my private. Look.
Wow.
Good. Got it. What's your name?
I'm gonna get the license. Yeah, get the license plate.
Look at what you're doing. Look at what
you're doing. Okay.
You have brought these people. You're crazy.
Victim.
These people. He brought these people.
And you hit my phone twice. There you go. Go ahead.
Let's stop.
Oh my God.
No, it's not your property.
This is my property.
Yes.
You're messing with
and I am moving your property.
Oh, don't worry. We'll move on back.
You are racist. You're racist. You are racist. Shame on you. Shame on you. You're racist.
Look at that. I just had to stop that for a moment. Okay. It says, the woman has been identified as Francie Neely, ex-wife of Houston Astros owner Jim Crane. Wow. Is that... Wow. And so what she did, she moved the person's property. So again, it's overstepping themselves and trying to fix something. Let me continue. Oops. Yeah, my computer's been acting up. I'm sorry, folks. So I'm trying to get it small now. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to play it again. Continue playing.
Racist. Shame on you.
You didn't tell them that.
Shame.
Okay, it says here, Neely issued an apology via an online video post. Oh, I should try to find that one. Yeah, I think I want to try to find that one. Let me see. Get her name again. Francie Neely. Let me write that name down. So when you want a pen to write, let me write this name down. F-R-A-N. Sure. F-R-A-N-C. Francie Neely. Okay, so I'll let this finish out, and I want to check to see her apology if it's on YouTube.
Racist. Shame on you.
You didn't tell them that.
Shame.
It's a nice car.
Bye.
No charges have been filed against her. Okay, this is another privilege that, white privilege that seems to be demonstrated here. The fact that no file was put against her, even though she assaulted someone. Okay, and then the dog was off a leash. Okay, endangering the life of a child, and she only stopped because they are allegedly in a place that you shouldn't be taking photos or property. I mean, the property was not for people to stand on, which seems like a BS. And there were other people there too. Let me continue on.
Call the cops.
Go right ahead. I will. I am.
Do it right now.
Right, bye.
Okay, let me check that out. I'm going to check a video to see if there's a video with this Francie Neely. Oh, might be something. Francie Neely full video. Let's see, Francie. Oh, maybe she was apology video. Okay. Okay, let's play that. Did Houston social? Oh, she's a socialite.
This hair straight styler is a hairstyling tool that will both comb and straighten your hair, along with curling the ends, if you desire that style.
The picturesque part of Houston is a spot where a photo is truly worth 1,000 words.
The serenity of the area, lots of foliage, trees, the lighting is pretty good.
The natural beauty is why Isaiah and Kellen Allen selected this place for their baby's first professional shoe.
So this was special.
But on Saturday, the laughs quickly turned into tears. During the shoot, Francie Neely, who is Astros owner Jim Crane's former wife, asked the family to leave because they were blocking a walkway.
Property.
We don't move. Don't worry. We'll move back.
The words escalated, and Neely took aim at the father's cell phone. Neely eventually left, and the couple turned to social media.
I don't think any mother alive would feel good about someone charging towards their child.
The Allens did more than share their piece with friends. They also went to police.
If it wasn't us, it could have potentially been someone else.
You don't have
In fact, an Eyewitness News viewer sent us another incident.
You pay to maintain this?
I pay taxes, yes.
No, sir, you don't.
The viewer, who didn't want to be identified, says a couple years ago, Neely also took aim at his cell phone during a photo shoot. We reached out to Neely about this incident. She says she reacted after the man taunted her about where she lived.
Sounds like a terrible life.
She also responded to the recent incident saying, I am very sorry that I got upset on late Saturday afternoon. Putting it in context, however, I saw 3 commercial photographer shoots in one block at the same time, something that happens frequently. When I explained the situation to the first and third groups, they were respectful. The couple whose photo shoot obstructed the walkways was not. It's hard to remain composed when confronted by shouted threats of lawsuits and false inflammatory accusations. For more than a year, neighbors have raised issues with photographers. The city says it's public property, but photographers aren't supposed to block walkways. The Allens are glad their daughter won't remember the incident, but they say it does ruin what was their baby's first shoe.
I hate the fact that when I look at those photos, that's what I have to remember.
Nick Notario, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Okay. Wow. Sad, huh? Yeah, so there were other people there, and the excuse. Okay, there's always an excuse, and again, when she doesn't get her way, you know, in this case, her name is Francie Neely. She's a socialite, and she takes it on her hand. Interesting, she hit the man. Why did she hit the man? I speculate she didn't like that he had a child with a black woman, and so was punishing him to be associated with the black woman. That's how I took it, because he didn't say anything that was worthy of being slapped, okay? And the venom, okay? What this reminds me of, I have relatives who look like white people, and they do live in a white neighborhood. And when I was young, I used to visit, my whole family used to visit them. And this was out in Nassau County. And what sticks out in my mind as a young child, I think it was a preteen. Yeah, I was a preteen. And I never saw children outside playing. Even though this is a neighborhood of young families and children. So I always question it. And I remember I was riding their little tricycle, my relative's tricycle, and always wonder, where are the people? Where are the kids? Well, in this neighborhood, this was a all-white neighborhood. And so they assumed that this relative of mine was white also. And I was told that when they found out that my relatives were actually black, their next door neighbor hit him in the chest. See? So why I'm mentioning that story is because you see, these type of women teach the children, their white children, about how to treat certain people, who to fear, who to like. So I think it's very important to address these women because they teach tomorrow's children. And in the New York City school system, especially from like kindergarten to like 6th grade, it's usually taught by, in New York City, white women. So you have white women doing the initial teaching of your children, of all children in New York City. And in some neighborhoods that you don't have black teachers, very few black teachers, and most of the teachers are white females. So if you have a white female living in a white neighborhood and then teaching children, what do you think she's going to teach those black children? Okay, they're not going to teach them about love and loving yourself, being black. What is she teaching white children in white neighborhoods? Okay, they become older, these white children, and then they become something ugly, as you see in the United States. How do these people get this way? Well, I can only speculate from women that act like these white women that I've shown you. Let me show you another video. Oops, sorry. Okay. Oh. Okay, I thought this was important because it's showing the dynamics of what could happen, different type of family dynamics. And somehow some of these white women are not educating, even though they have access to your children and my children. I don't have children, I'm sorry, and other people's children, okay? But somehow something's not being communicated correctly. So let me show you this.
Teacher in Wisconsin is considering legal action after the teen was handcuffed over an apparent false robbery call. Wauwatosa Police Department cameras captured Sunday's incident. Akil Carter was riding in a car with his white grandmother. Police say they pulled the car over after getting a tip that two black males were robbing a white woman nearby. Michelle Miller shows why the family's attorney is questioning the story from the police. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning. They are indeed. A police spokesperson says the officers responded appropriately and released the teen as soon as they realized there was a misunderstanding. Still, the family wonders how this potentially dangerous situation could have happened in the first place.
Come out with your hands up, face away from us.
After ordering 18-year-old Akil Carter out of his grandmother's car,
Hands up high in the air. Face away from us. Walk to the sidewalk.
Police placed him in handcuffs and ordered him into the back of a squad car.
Officer Gabriel's going to get some information from you, okay?
Grandmother Paulette Barr had just left church and was driving Akil to work when police stopped them. Officers say they initially started following them after an African-American man and woman identified the vehicle. They said it was carrying a white woman who was being robbed by two black men. But police say they never got a formal statement from those witnesses because they left the area. The family's attorney is skeptical.
It seems strange that for all the dash cam footage the police have turned over, we have not seen anything where the officer's interacting with these people.
After Carter was detained, an officer is seen exiting the patrol car with his gun outside the holster. Officers then approached the teen's grandmother.
Is everything okay? That's your grandson?
Yes. Police say Carter was handcuffed for approximately 6 minutes.
Well, I'm guessing what this sounds like is a really big misunderstanding.
After the teen was released, a witness captured his grandmother's reaction.
That's your grandson? Wow!
The family's attorney says even if the police account is accurate, the officers clearly overreacted.
Any random person can run up to a police officer now and say, "Stop that car, it's engaged in a robbery," and that's all it takes.
The family's attorney says the frightening encounter left the grandmother feeling helpless, wondering what she could have done to protect her grandson.
Yeah. Okay. And they didn't show the whole video of what they did to the 18-year-old. You know, they had him, you know, he had to have his hands up. And then it said, move forward, you know, your back turned away from us. I mean, your face turned away from us. Oh, then walk backwards. You know, it was really awkward. And when I get nervous, I can't really understand a lot of things. So I commend this 18-year-old young man that he was able to follow instructions, and the cops really they were acting really scared of a 18-year-old. His name is Akil, Akil Carter. So you can look at some other YouTube videos. It gives more details on the actual, you know, his detainment and everything. It's really interesting, and it just goes to show how much fear. And the other thing here, they said that there were two black men. There wasn't. There's only one young black male and two white women. So where did they get two black men when there's only one and there were two women? So it sounds like the cops felt embarrassed, and because they didn't like that a black male is in the car with two white women. It must be something sinister. And the woman is in a Lexus, you know, an expensive car. So their mind, see that's what it's a prejudgment. So here you have a white woman, a grandmother of a black teenager, and she seems really nice, and it's something for her to see firsthand what it's like to be to have a black grandchild and the dangers of that. So whoever who's teaching the son is taught him very, very well to keep calm, because they could have just blown him away, and then they're going to say, oh, well, they said he had a weapon, right? So I commend the young man there. Frightening. I don't know how I would react. That I get really nervous, you know, and shaky. Okay, let me see. Let me show you the next one. Yeah, so people have to really start teaching the next generation. Okay, let me show you this.
That's just not fair. This shouldn't happen to anyone at all.
Amul Kanute is a rising sophomore at Smith College and works here this summer teaching chemistry to high schoolers for Smith's STEM program. She was reading in the dining hall of the Tyler House dorm here Tuesday.
Next thing you know,
I see
Listen to
the
this.
cop walk in with a Smith employee whom I've never seen before. And the man asked me, we were wondering why you're here.
She says police told her an employee had called about a suspicious black man. She recorded video with her phone.
We were wondering why you were here.
Oh, I was eating lunch. I'm working the summer program.
Adding her own text on Instagram with a post that's prompted outrage from supporters.
It just still upsets me to just talk about it because I don't even feel safe on my own campus and I'm away from home. I'm the first in my family to go to college. I'm doing this not only for me, but for my family, for my ancestors.
Smith's president sent a statement apologizing and assuring the student that she belongs in all Smith spaces. This painful incident reminds us of the ongoing legacy of racism and bias, in which people of color are targeted while simply going about the business of their daily lives. Building an inclusive, diverse, and sustainable community is urgent and ongoing work.
What do you want to happen now?
I want the identity of the caller released. I want a public apology from that caller, and I want them fired from the school.
Smith's administration says privacy laws prevent them from releasing the name, so Kanate has turned to social media with a plea for help.
I tried to shake it off. I didn't even want to speak up and speak out because I know not everyone's going to agree with what you need to say. Not everyone's going to listen to you.
In Northampton,
I'm just so upset.
Christina Hager, WBZ News.
Yeah, I feel her pain. I feel her pain, and I feel it necessary to show that video because, see, the people who call on us are causing great pain and discomfort. And to live every day, and if you're outnumbered by whites in population, you're going to be under pressure all the time, always wondering who's going to say something to you, comments that people say, insensitive things that people say. And another thing, if you didn't notice, they said that she was a man. They mistaken her for being a man. Okay, so they're not really even looking. And again, they don't know. They should have just come up to the person and asked them themselves. But when you bring a cop, you're saying that there's something wrong. Okay, so again, I'm only speculating about what could create a society like this. Well, if you have people who act like this Amy, okay, this is a typical type of archetype of a person that if they have access to your children, what is she going to teach them? Okay, she's a dangerous person to have, in my opinion. Just an opinion. People who act like her. Okay, and I thought it was very important about with the cops now. Okay, these cops. Trying to find the. Okay. So I'm trying to find. Okay. Now this cop has a gun out. Okay, this is violent. This means that he feels that his life is threatened. What makes a cop feel so threatened? A white cop. So I'm thinking again that something. I'm just looking at my notes here. I'm sorry. Something has to be done, and so I was thinking, and to do this video that when possible solutions that can maybe help a little bit this problem of these overreactive cops and cops that overgeneralize. And any new cop who's coming onto the police force, that they should do like a community town hall Like any new cops, that they are introduced to the community that they're to work in. And so if it's like a town hall, a meeting place, and all the people who want to go to to see these people, these cops. So the cop gets to meet the different types of people and welcome him or her into their neighborhood to protect them. A lot of these cops, they don't live in the neighborhood that they supposed to protect. That's not being done. People want to protect where they live. And a lot of these cops live in white neighborhoods, and they're taught that everyone outside of what they look like and from their neighborhood, and a lot of their neighborhoods, they discriminate and don't allow people of color in there. Okay, so that's another problem. So I feel that cops should live in the neighborhood that they police in, because there's too many false identities. So here, a woman, she looks female, yes, her hair is cut short, mistakes her for a man, at least the person who tried to get her in trouble, misidentified her as a male. Okay, and so that's embarrassing in itself, So again, it's a lot of shaming with racism. Okay, yeah, so I thought that was very important, that cops must live in the area they police. If they live there, they want to protect it, right? If you don't live there, they're not going to really care about the people. They're not going to know the people who they're supposed to be protecting, okay? And I felt also with schools, you have these women. Yes, hi again. This is Spirit Journey. Yes, you see me wearing something else. Yes, a couple of days have gone by since the beginning part of the video that I was doing, and I need to complete it. Yes, right now it's Wednesday, June 17, 2020, and the time is 12:01 p.m. in the afternoon. And yeah, I wanted to finish up this video. The video is already an hour long, but I wanted to complete it. I was just going to upload it, but I really wanted to make a complete video about solutions. I was addressing the issue of the archetype Amy Cooper, white female, based on the incident that happened a couple of weeks ago at the Ramble in Central Park. Amy Cooper is the woman with the dog, and she didn't want to put it on a leash after a black man had asked her if she could put the dog on the leash, since that area of Central Park requires all dogs to be on a leash. And instead of being compliant, she threatened to call the police and give a false claim that he is threatening her life and her dog's life. Okay, and the video was circulated. He was videotaping the whole time with her saying the threats to him. So it was really foolish and cocky for her to even say that while being videotaped. Oh well, I wanted to talk about, like I already showed different scenarios, different things that happen in the U.S., different attacks on the black community by these archetype women. And these women oftentimes have children and teaches certain behaviors to their children, and these children grow up and some of them become police officers, and as we've seen with George Floyd and other people who were killed by cops, you wonder the mentality behind it. And so I wanted to discuss about different solutions. The last thing I was mentioning, that every new cop that is getting into the police becoming a police officer, that they should live in the community that they serve, that they're supposed to protect. That was the last thing I was saying before my video cut off, and then I was about to talk about the schools. Okay, let me find, I have my notes here. Yeah, I think also, like I went to public schools in New York City, and even though it was a predominantly black neighborhood, and the school, even currently, supposed to be the demographic-wise, the largest concentration of that one demographic, black people, in that school. Okay, that was in Queens. But predominantly all the teachers were white. And many of these teachers, these white female teachers, that is, white female teachers, they did not live in that community where my school was. They usually lived out in Long Island, New York, okay, outside of city limits, but they go to school, they teach in schools outside of their own communities. And I think to help, well, I think if you live in a community that's exclusively white, that's usually a sign that you don't want to be around people who aren't you, but you're taking the job of someone of that community that could teach there, but she's teaching or he's teaching there, and you project your biases upon these children. Okay, and I've had teachers in high school teacher that was saying that blacks are inferior to whites. So, and I was very offended, and I never forgot it. And this teacher I had really liked. So I think to help, see, it's a brainwashing of people. And children are being brainwashed by the people who teach them. And if they're being taught by prejudiced white people, probably what's going to be projected upon them as biases against them. And they're going to feel uncomfortable and low self-esteem and a lot of anger issues. And my school definitely had a lot of anger issues. So I think as a remedy to help protect the black community from further harm is to kind of nip it in the bud at the root of the programization upon and against black people. That the teachers that are in these public schools, they should also be a part of that community. They should live in that community, not into like pockets areas. Like they might say, well, it's within a zip code, let's say, but some areas might be just pocketed with certain groups of people, but even though they're within a zip code, they should be of that community. So if it's a black school, they should have people who are racially and culturally related to those people they're going to teach. Okay? I think that's very important. Because again, you don't have black teachers filling up the schools in white neighborhoods and teaching young white kids. If you do, you just maybe have one or two, but that's it. It's not a dominance of black teachers teaching white children. So that has to be corrected. Okay? Let's see what else here. I don't know whether I put this out here in the beginning of the video, but if I didn't, let me just say this. See, these Amy Cooper archetype people, I'm concerned that, what could also be perpetuated against black children. Let's say a black kid is out playing, and let's say they live in a neighborhood that's predominantly white. I've had an experience once. I went to visit relatives, and there were no kids out there to play, even though it was a new community and young couples and their kids. But I realized as an adult that they didn't come out. They were kids there, but they weren't allowed to play outside because I was there. Okay, yeah, this was a exclusive white neighborhood, and the relatives looked like white people. And then when we came over, the darker relatives, they realized who they were, and they got one of the my relatives got hit in the chest by this neighbor. Yeah, I didn't see it, but someone told me about it recently. What happened to him? These events happened many years ago in the 1970s. Yeah, so you have these type of personalities that teaching. Where's that little kid going to learn? Kids love to play with other kids in general, right? They want to show off their toys, whatever. Why are they not going outside? Because that archetype white female is teaching their kids to fear and to not associate with black people in particular. Okay, so you're going to teach that to your kids, but you're going to teach black children. Okay, it doesn't mix. So mixed messages are being presented here. Okay, I thought, let's see, I think I might have also mentioned that many cops are Masons, and they do these rituals. And I think that the latest events regarding the police officer killing, like George Floyd, was a ritual being done. Okay, so I don't think any police officer should be a Mason. They shouldn't be allowed to be Masons. I mean, that's a tricky one, but you can think it should be deemed a terrorist organization because they're doing killings, right? So I think it is a terrorist organization. Okay. I have something else here regarding the church. Yeah, I put this in my notes. So it's indirectly related with Amy Cooper type, but I think this is a very important issue. And I've discussed this in past videos regarding the church in black neighborhoods. And where I used to live in Queens, there are tons and tons of churches. And it seemed like the more churches, the more poverty stricken and the more crime the black area. And I think it's done deliberately. These churches, I believe, is set up deliberately in black areas to siphon out the money, siphon out the hardworking money of the people of that community. So you're not using your money to buy groceries, medicines, or maybe education. They're not using it. It's being funneled into the church, and then that church sends out that money somewhere else. And many of the pastors are in Masonry or some fraternity thing. Yes, and I've been in churches that the pastor was one. Yes. Don't trust them. Don't trust them. There's no reason for someone to be in that organization and they're supposed to be serving the black community. The churches are being used to actually bully the black community, to cause them harm by brainwashing them about a Jesus that says that he's coming back soon, and 2,000 years is not soon. He's still not back, and this Jesus is not protecting black people the same as this Jesus is protecting white people. White people's interests in general are being preserved, but black neighborhoods are not being preserved. It's being violated. We're being physically, financially, spiritually robbed. Okay, so be aware of these churches that fester in your neighborhood. Okay, so, but if you do have them there, if you do have the churches there, they should be serving you. You pay them, so they should be there to serve and to protect your community. But it's not happening. Okay, you have to expose them. You have to expose it. And they're also sexually violating a lot of the females there, young and old. Okay, they're doing that. And we already heard some years back of the pastor that was violating the teenage boys. Okay, this happens, but because they're all Masons, they're all, you know, everybody's covering up. See, that's why I think Masonry is evil. You know, you have low-level Masons and they just pay their dues. You know, they don't really know what's going on. But it's all about secrecy, and it seems like, in my opinion, that they're just escalating their behaviors, and it's like they're testing you to see how far they can go. Okay, you got to out them. You have to out them. Get them out, root them out of your community if you can. Okay, there was something else here, and I thought this was important. Someone else said this, but I want to repeat it, so it's not my words, but I thought it had a lot of wisdom in it. It says that if you don't respect our lives, or black lives, you will not respect our votes. And I thought it was very profound, because it was said that, well, what we have to do is vote them out, vote someone else in, but they're not respecting your life. Why would they respect your vote? They don't respect your vote, and that is the problem. And they don't respect your vote because they don't respect you. And the lack of respect is because they know that you cannot protect yourself. You're a bug in their eyes. You're an irritant. And they want to get rid of you, and you're just there to help them achieve. Yeah. So it would be nice that would be the final solution, you know. Vote them out, vote them in, but you don't respect life. You don't respect our lives. So also be careful about what's watched in your community. What are they showing your children at home or in schools? I was in it was junior high school, and they showed this real graphic material of World War II. And I remember to this day, he was a kid from, I think he was from India, or South Asia sometime. And he faints in classroom while standing. He just plops on the floor. It's like they want to put, it was let's see. The teacher was of the same ethnic group of the people who were being violated in World War II. Okay? So they want to get their story across. But in doing that, it wasn't age sensitive. You shouldn't show mangled bodies to little children. We were little kids. We were like 12 years old. You shouldn't show little kids that. So they want to get their agenda out and people to sympathize and know about their history, but they're not really teaching the history of what's happening here, the abuses that are happening here in the Americas. It's all superficial. And the way it's taught is to humiliate black people, and black men in particular, to humiliate them. But there's a whole politics behind slavery. Where did all the resources go? The slaves were producing, creating, doing planting and building things. But this is an overabundance of supplies. Where did the excess supplies go? And I think that has to be addressed. And I think that's where the UFOs, because I do believe that the UFOs, and I've seen UFOs, and I've seen an ET, in a meditation that is, they exist. And I'm thinking, well, if those things exist now, and people are being human trafficked, they just use a different terminology, human trafficking. Well, I believe this. Human trafficking, back then in slavery days, that included extraterrestrial or creating those underground bases. Those resources had to go somewhere, and I'm sure it just didn't go in somebody's plate in the South or just Europe. No, this thing was extensive, I believe. That's what my senses tell me. There's something more to it, but they don't want you to know. They just want you to know, okay, poor black man, a poor black woman is just being whooped and blah, blah, blah. It goes beyond that. Human trafficking even to outside this planet or in underground bases. Yes, that's what I really believe, and I think that's what really should be examined, because we have researchers, the remote viewers out there, and they were investigating certain historical events, and it seems like all these historical events that they examined seem to always include the UFO phenomenon and the beings. Not all the beings look like so-called monsters. Some of these beings were humanoids. People look like, individuals that look like people, but maybe they're really tall or short or something like that. Yeah, it's a whole history and a hidden history, but they only want you to see one side. And the side that they want you to see is a side that disempowers. But I'm saying today, this is a time for self-empowerment, to expose the individuals that are presented in our schools, people who handle our children, or even go into a public park. And this woman who is just trying to assert her authority over people who are different than her. So I can't think of anything else. I think I got everything that I wanted to say here. Yeah, I may have mentioned, the UN should be involved in our reparations. And not just reparations for the United States, the people who live in the United States of America, but throughout all the Americas, all the people, the black people that you see in the Americas had suffered, and many are living in poverty. And what you have throughout the Americas is what they call colorism. So they might say, well, I'm doing a little better because my skin is I look a little bit more European than my other neighbor, so I'll get over that person, No, see, that's not the answer either. You need the people to get the power back. Virtually every black person in the Americas, we are actually exiled, and the matter has never really been reconciled. It has to be fixed, and that's what reparations is all about. It's not just money, it's about repairing harm that was done. It means a homeland, a state of our own, a community of our own, with our own money system, our own educational system, so that we build up and become autonomous. Yeah. So that's all that I think I want to say, and I hope you enjoyed this audio. And I apologize for my little doggy who is snoring right now. Okay. So thank you for watching, and I hope this was an enjoyable video for you. So take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.